Okay, you're ready to start.
We will now call to order the Special Committee on the Transition of 14 Wards. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Alderwoman Davis. Alderman Vaccaro.
Present.
Alderwoman Ingracia.
Present.
Alderwoman Boyd. Alderman Bosley. Alderwoman Middlebrook. Alderwoman Rice.
Present.
Alderman Todd.
Present.
Alderman Page. Alderman Stevens.
Here.
Alderwoman Schweitzer.
Present.
Alderman Grass. Alderwoman Walker.
Present.
President Green.
Present.
Alderwoman Davis. Alderwoman Boyd. Alderman Bosley. Alderwoman Middlebrook. Alderman Page. Alderman Grass. We have 8 present. We have a quorum.
Quorum being present, I will now entertain a motion to approve the minutes from Tuesday, January 31st, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes from February 31st, January 21st, 2023. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Alderwoman Davis. Alderman Vaccaro.
Aye.
Alderwoman Ingracia.
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd. Alderman Bosley. Alderwoman Middlebrook. Alderwoman Rice.
Aye.
Alderman Todd.
Aye.
Alderman Page.
Aye.
Alderman Stevens.
Aye.
Alderwoman Schweitzer.
Aye.
Alderman Grass. Alderwoman Walker.
Aye.
President Green.
Aye.
Alderwoman Davis. Alderwoman Boyd. Alderman Bosley. Alderwoman Middlebrook. Alderman Grass. We have 10 aye votes.
Great. By your vote, you sustain the motion to approve the minutes. All right. Today, we are going to go through Board Bill 183. After talking with our legal counsel, I think the easiest way, if we are amenable today, to be able to get everything we need done is I'll turn the meeting over to Alderwoman Rice, who will chair it again. Alderwoman Boyd couldn't be here. I would then like us to adopt the committee substitute. And then we have an amendment from Christine that will change around encumbered funds. And then we will go through a presentation of some of the other variables that we were asked to pull. And then we'll make some additional amendments after we look at those variables, if that works for everyone. So with that, I'll turn it over to Alderwoman Rice.
All right. So President Green, you are recognized on Board Bill 183.
Thank you. I would like to put I would like to make a motion to adopt, first put Board Bill 183 committee substitute in front of us.
Second. All right. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll on that?
Previous roll.
Hearing no objection, Board Bill 183 committee substitute is in front of us for discussion. Go ahead.
Great. With that, I would now like to ask that before we entertain amendments, that we adopt Board Bill 183 committee substitute, as it will be easier for us to amend the committee substitute than it will be for us to amend the original.
I probably would want a roll call because I'm not fond of and certainly don't want to see the amendments, but
Alderman Vaccaro, so, yeah, hang on for me just one second. So the cleanest way to do this is for someone to make the motion to adopt, and then we will go through discussion after that's been moved and seconded.
Right, so I just want to make clear that that I'm asking for adoption because it will be easier for us to entertain amendments on the committee sub than it would be to do it on the original bill.
Right, and I asked just for a roll call, then on that.
Sure, we'll go through the committee in order for discussion after we get this motion. So I'll entertain a motion to adopt Board Bill 183 committee substitute.
I
So
move that we- Second,
Okay, with a motion and a second, now we can discuss Board Bill 183 committee substitute. President Green, do you want to give us some overview of what the committee substitute changed, and then we can discuss what's in front of us?
So the committee substitute basically changed from the original version of the bill, which we had done several years ago, to put it in alignment with going to 14 wards. And we have amendments once the substitute is adopted that will address encumbered funds and will address the formula by which funds are allocated across wards. But it would be easier to amend those onto the committee substitute than to put them on the original bill.
Okay, was there anything else specific that you wanted to discuss about the committee substitute as it changed the underlying bill?
No,
Or do you just want to go through questions?
because there's going to be, most of the changes it made are going to be changed again with the amendments. So
Okay.
we're going to be changing verbiage around encumbered funds and changing the way that funds are allocated based upon variables. And so I don't want to speak to something that's going to get changed through amendments.
Okay, all right, so in that case, let's just quickly go through any discussion on this committee substitute, adopting this committee substitute, and then we'll further consider. We're not adopting the bill, we're not passing the bill out, we're just adopting the committee substitute to it. So I'll go through the list here just so we, Alderwoman Boyd is not here. Alderwoman Davis, any comments at the moment?
No.
Okay, great, thank you so much. Alderman Vaccaro, comments on this committee substitute?
No comments.
Okay, Alderwoman Ingracia? I think that's
no, sorry, I don't have
Okay.
any comments or
okay,
questions.
no worries. Alderman Bosley, I don't see. Alderwoman Middlebrook, I don't see. Alderman Todd, any?
No, Madam
questions?
Chair, thank you.
Okay, I think we have maybe an out of order still on this. Alderwoman Schweitzer.
Thank you so much. I am just making sure I'm looking at the correct, everything correctly in the drive. So I see Board Bill 183 committee substitute amendment 1. I see the clean copy. I see a marked copy and combined. So there isn't a copy of the bill that's
No,
not-
so what you have, the item number 1 is the originally filed Board Bill 183. Combined just means with the title and stuff on it. Item 1A is the committee substitute marked copy. 1B is committee substitute clean copy. So that's what will be adopted as the base, what we're doing right now. And then 1C is an amendment to that committee substitute.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm just trying to make sure I understand where everything is. I appreciate the patience.
Sure.
I appreciate that. That's my only question.
Okay, great. Alderman Page, any questions?
No questions yet. I'll wait till we get into the amendments.
Sure, sounds good. Alderman Stevens.
Yeah, I do have a quick question. As I look at Board Bill 183 committee substitute, I'm on page 1, line item 10. I just want to inquire why the crime rate and the parentheses items were struck.
Because the police department is not capable of giving us that data in a timely manner to make it usable for this.
Okay. Okay, so it was just struck for feasibility purposes. Okay.
Yeah, they don't break down crime rates on a ward by ward level, and it would be difficult for them to do so.
Okay, that makes sense. And then I'm quickly scrolling through, and the rest of it seemed rather procedural. So I think that's my only question, Alderwoman Rice, and I appreciate the explanation, President Green. Thank you.
Great. Alderman Gross.
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Okay, great. Alderwoman Walker, any comments or questions at this point?
No comments, no questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, so with all that discussion, we need to take a vote to adopt the committee substitute, and there's been a request for a roll call. Madam Clerk.
Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderman Vaccaro,
Sorry. No.
Alderwoman Ingracia,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd, Alderman Bosley, Alderwoman Middlebrook,
Aye.
Alderwoman Rice,
Aye.
Alderman Todd,
Aye.
Alderman Page,
Aye.
Alderman Stevens,
Aye.
Alderwoman Schweitzer,
Aye.
Alderman Grass,
Aye.
Alderwoman Walker,
Aye.
President Green,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd, Alderman Bosley. We have 11 aye votes and 1 no.
All right, by your vote, you have sustained the motion. We are now have Board Bill 180. Oh man, what are we on? 183. 183 committee substitute in front of us. President Green, you're recognized for further discussion.
Thank you. So the first change that we want to make to the bill, and I would actually ask that we could turn it over to Alderwoman Ingracia to present on an amendment. But we heard feedback based upon the definition of encumbered funds. And so Alderwoman Ingracia worked with BPS and with Galley, and I think has a definition that will better address some of the concerns around ensuring that projects that are in process, that money does not get reallocated. So if we could recognize her, that would be my preference.
Sure. Alderwoman Gracia, you are recognized on Amendment 1.
Thank you. I move that we put amendment number 1 to Board Bill 183 committee substitute before us for discussion.
Second.
All right, go ahead. I guess, does somebody want to make a motion for previous roll on that?
Previous roll.
Hearing no objection, go ahead and we will discuss amendment number 1.
Thank you. So as Chair Green indicated, and a number of you have probably heard me talk about, I think you share some of the same concerns that there's going to be some projects that are not yet going to be approved by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment or under contract, which is our current definition of encumbered funds under this board bill. And so Alderwoman Rice and I worked with our board attorney, Louis Galley, Richard Bradley from the Board of Public Service. And then I also had a conversation with Kim Hagley from the Parks Department, just to make sure we had some insight from a department head. And the amendment to this would start on page 2, line 20, and would add some additional language that indicates that funds that have been set aside for a specific project that is required to be approved by the director of the city office or department responsible for the implementation of that project prior to April 18th, 2023, will not be allowed to be allocated as long as it's encumbered underneath the 2 definitions we have in this board bill by April 1st, 2024. So generally speaking, that means, if you have a huge pot of money, you can't just assume that you can set it aside for streets. It has to have some level of specificity with respect to a project description, a specific number of, a specific dollar amount that's set aside, and then the alderperson would have to touch base with the department head to make sure that they have approval to move that project forward. And the reason that we are giving it a year is so that those funds just don't sit out there indefinitely. But as long as those projects are encumbered, so either approved by E&A or under contract by April 2024, they will be allowed to move forward. And that allows the money that's left over if projects still aren't where they need to be reallocated. And I'm happy to take any questions if committee members have them.
Okay, we will go ahead and run through the list here on discussion. Okay, so Alderwoman Davis, do you have any questions about this amendment?
No, I think you've done a good job on the revision for clarity and most especially for opportunity. So I'm fine, thank you.
Great, thank you. Alderman Vaccaro, any comments on the amendment?
No questions, comments.
Okay, great. Let's see, Alderwoman Middlebrook, we're discussing the First Amendment. Any questions?
No, I have no questions. Thank you.
Okay, great. Alderman Todd.
I don't have any questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Great. Let's see, Alderwoman Schweitzer.
Thank you. I think this is a great amendment. No questions.
Okay, great. Sorry, I'm adjusting the order a little bit. I'm looking at an old seniority list. I think we're it's Alderman Page.
No questions. This amendment appears to close a gap that we had prior to, so I think I'm good with it. Thank you.
Okay, great. Alderman Stevens.
No questions. I appreciate the explanation from Alderwoman Ingracia and the clarity that she presented with it. Thank you.
Great. Alderman Gross.
No questions. Thank you.
Alderwoman Walker.
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. And I just want to add, I think I want to thank the Alderwoman from the 6th for her work on this. Lots of phone calls and lots of legal language back and forth to try to figure out how best to do this. So this does not mean, run out and encumber every last penny for whichever, like for a pie in the sky project that we don't have. But if you have something that you've been working on with your community and you have been working with the department to get a basic outline of funding and a timeline and you've got their approval, then we can go forward. But I think it's going to take a bit of patience from all of us to work with BPS and with streets and with parks before April 18th to try to cover as much as possible. So, I know there's been a lot of discussion from several folks about long-term plans, applying for grants, all sorts of stuff. And that should be those specific projects with funds identified and a timeline identified and, specific approval by those department heads should get covered here by this amendment. So I'm grateful that we've got it as well. And I guess, so seeing no other discussion on this amendment, want to go ahead and call a vote on amendment number 1 to Board Bill 183 committee substitute.
I think we need a motion. I'm happy to make the motion.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
To approve amendment number 1 to Board Bill 183 committee substitute.
Second.
I'll entertain a motion for previous roll if anybody.
Previous roll.
All right, hearing no objection to previous roll.
I don't think I was here on the first roll that you guys did to approve minutes, and I think they've been doing.
We did were you here for the committee substitute?
Oh, that was the previous one. You're right. Never mind.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. I think we're covered then. All right. So we now have Board Bill 183 committee substitute as amended in front of us. President Green.
Yes, wonderful. So the next thing, oh, hold on. Adobe is now asking me to update something. Hold on. Always ask for an update at the most inopportune moments. See if I can get this closed. Okay, so I don't know what just happened here. Hold on. can't see anything on my. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Adobe decided to take over. So the second area that we had some concern about was the variables that were being used to allocate funds and the breakdown of those funds. And so we were asked to put together some additional variables and see what that would look like. So I'm going to share my screen here. So we added in as variables ward acreage and street miles. And we felt like these would help to get at sort of the infrastructure needs or the amount of, you know, surfaces that need updating in each ward. We kept the need score rules the same, you know, one that needs the most need got 100 for that variable, one that had the least got 0. And when we just did the 5 variables previously, remember this was how this is what it looked like in terms of the need score for each ward based upon just those 5 variables. But when we add in those infrastructure variables, this is what happens to it. So we see some wards that then decrease in terms of their need score, and we see some that increase in terms of their need score. But we're still at a place where the ones with the highest need, 11, 12, 13, 14 still stay as the wards with the highest needs, even when you put in the infrastructure funds, though it does, move 11 and 12 down a little bit and move 13 and 14 up a little bit. But it's, Ward 3 loses 3 points because it had the least number of street miles of any ward and is the smallest ward in terms of acreage. It's the most compact, densely populated ward. However, Ward 3 remains the ward with the least need on these matrix, even when you put in infrastructure mileage. Ward 13 gains points and becomes the ward with the greatest need because it is the largest ward in terms of square acreage by a long shot. Ward 13 actually has 6,126 square acres, which is distantly followed by Ward 12, which has 4,465 square acres. So, if we were only to look at the infrastructure variables and we were not to include the original need-based variables that included, various outcomes, Ward 3 loses points because it has the least number of street miles of any ward. It is the smallest in terms of acreage and has relatively little vacancy. Ward 13 gains points and becomes the ward with the greatest need because it's the largest ward in terms of square acreage. Like I said before, with over 6,000 square acres, distantly followed by Ward 12, which has about 4,500 square acres. What we will notice in this, especially for Ward 3, which is, Dutchtown, we know that Dutchtown does have a pretty, when you rate it just in terms of kind of human needs, it has a pretty high score. But then when you look at it just from an infrastructure point of view, it ends up having a much lower score just because it's very densely populated, even though there are very high concentrations of poverty in that ward. So I think that's something to be cognizant of, that if we're only assessing on infrastructure and not assessing on those other human needs, it does kind of disproportionately impact one ward we know that is a high poverty ward on the south side. Everybody else pretty much stays the same. So, so what does this look like? So the original scenario, is what we had before in, I think where Ward 3 and 14 end up with similar need. And the transition of ward capital is done on a 40-60 basis, whereas the annual ward capital is 60% equal, 40% equitable. Everybody has a base of 420,000. So that was the original scenario. If we change that scenario a little bit to include original variables plus the ward acreage and the street miles, we end up at a place where there is a little bit of a decrease in some of those wards, and you see wards like 4, 5, and 6 end up going in the second ward end up going up in terms of their allocation. So under this scenario, every ward gets about at least $1 million or close to $1 million or more to be working with. The next one we looked at is if we only did it based upon infrastructure, so vacancy, street miles, and ward size, and not put in unemployment and some of those other variables. Then you see a place where, again, the 12th, 13th, 14th wards all, demonstrate the most need under all of those variables, but you do see a ward like the 3rd ward dip significantly in terms of the funding that would be available. So then the other thing we looked at is what if we changed the split so that we did 70% equal funding, 30% equitable. And if we did that, we would end up at a place where base pay is $490,000 per ward. And then you would have a marginal increase based upon those need variables that would put a good number of wards up, close to $1 million. And this is if you only use those infrastructure variables. Then if we were to do it with all 7 variables with a 70-30 split, so 70% equally, 30% equitably, we would be in a place where every ward would have a base of 290,000. Then you would get your, your need bonus on top of that. And it would, again, most benefit wards 11, 12, 13, 14 that show the best, that demonstrate the most need. But it also provides a bump to Ward 3, which we know has high poverty levels and some challenges there as well. So I know that's a lot of data, a lot of scenarios. My recommendation coming out of this would be to move forward with the 7 variables and the 70-30 split. I think that that addresses some of the concerns of some wards who were concerned about not receiving quite enough funding, but it also still provides a bump in funding for wards that have struggled, that have large surface areas, large acreages, but also struggle with a lot of, unemployment and other types of issues. So I'm happy to take questions on that. And Christina Garmendia is also here. She helped put together and synthesize a lot of this data. So we may tap her in on a couple things as well if there are additional questions. But my recommendation would be to add in streets, let's see, would be to add in ward acreage and street miles into our allocation formula and change the allocation split to 70% equal, 30% equitable. But I am happy to have a discussion on that.
Okay. And I imagine we might need to go back to those charts at some point. If
And they
folks
are
have-
in the drive also.
They're in the drive.
It should be.
Let me. My Google is also taking an afternoon snooze today. So, let's see. All right, I will go ahead and go through the committee. I definitely have questions of my own, but we'll start with you all. So Alderwoman Davis.
No questions.
Okay. Alderman Vaccaro.
I really don't. It's better than the last one the other day. I still think that, you know, it cuts away from, you know, the ward I represent, you know, I plan to represent. You know, and there's a lot of need there. I mean, even with the little bit of money we do get, there's still a lot of need. And we spend it all. I think my ward only has $11,000 left. And we still haven't even scratched the surface of the needs. And I still go back to the alderman said, gee, it's a much bigger area, got to double our salary, which I absolutely disagree with that. But are saying, well, it's a bigger area, but it, you know, that's still my argument. You know, I think the money should be equally split between the 14th wards so that, you know, they can, you know, whoever all the presidents can get stuff done. If anybody here feels like their ward has more than enough money and they've done everything that they want to do, I'd like to hear it, because I'll bet you can go to any ward and you'll see a ton of complaints about things that aren't done, streets that haven't been done. And now we're going to say in certain areas, you know, it's going to be even worse. So anyway, I hope that everyone, as they vote on this, you know, it should have been just the money split equally amongst the wards. But anybody who wants to vote on this, vote on it. And I hope that, you know, you have to deal with your constituents when you say, gee, we can't do anything. That's all, it's just a comment.
Okay. Looks Alderwoman Ingracia, if your head is still attached to your body, please please comment here.
Sorry, my adult child is acting like one of my teenagers. I appreciate the rework of this. I think it's incredibly important that we listen to our constituents and stakeholder groups who are letting us know that equity is very important to them in terms of allocation of ward capital funds. And so I'm grateful for the work that continues to be done on this, and I'm supportive of it. Nothing further.
Great, thank you. Alderwoman Boyd is not with us. Alderwoman Middlebrook, any comments or questions?
I have no questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Todd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say that I support the equitable idea. So thank you very much, Madam President.
All right, thank you for bringing your style game to us on this Thursday afternoon, Alderman Todd. Alderwoman Schweitzer, you're up next.
Thank you so much. As the 13th Ward Alderperson, you know, I'm looking at the information that's coming for Ward 1, Ward 2, and Ward 3, because that's where the current 13th Ward will go. And it does look like the scenario with 7 variables, the 70-30 split, is better for 2 out of 3 of the wards that that 13 is in. And definitely is an interesting position to be in, to be considering, you know, that there's 2 wards this is better for, 1 that it's not as good for. Overall, the equal split would be better for all 3 of those wards. So while I think this amendment is better than what is in front of us for the people that I represent. And I might vote for the amendment. I still think I'd be generally not in favor of the bill split this way. Thank you for all the time. I know this was a tremendous amount of work, and I appreciate the chance to speak.
Great, thank you, Alderwoman. Alderman Stevens.
Yes, thank you, Presiding Chair. I would merely opine that, I think coming from a not-for-profit background professionally, one of the most dangerous mindsets that I've encountered is, that's how we've always done it, right? So that's how we've always done it mindset. And I think it's okay to review these things, to analyze these things, and to see how we can be more equitable and more even. So, I am in support of this bill and the amendment as well. And I hope not to belabor the point, so I'll yield back, but I hope that we are willing to see past the immediate future and see the long-term effects that our decisions today could have on the city of St. Louis. And now I will actually yield back. So thank you, Madam Presiding Chair.
Okay, thank you, Alderman Page.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. You've heard me opine on numerous occasions that I am in favor of equitable distribution. I would like to express my sincere gratitude for the work that has gone into this. Is some beautiful math and charting that has gone into developing these options. From my first time through really looking at them, I think I like scenario 7, overall, because it takes into effect the human factors as well as the infrastructure factors. And it has something that I remember from math classes a million years ago. It has a feature of curve smoothing, where the people who would be impacted the most by some of the other scenarios are not impacted as much. And still the chart still has the overall shape that provides the most help for those wards that have the most need. So I really applaud the staff's work on this. I love it. I'm in favor of equitable distribution. So with that, I will yield back and wait for further discussion. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Alderman Page. Alderman Grass.
Yeah, I very much appreciate the work and the updates that were made on this. I think it makes it a lot more palatable, whatever the word is. But it's not going to make everybody happy, but it's just something that I think needs to be done for us. So I'm a yes, and I appreciate the changes made. I think that they made it a big improvement from last week. And yeah, that's it.
Great. And Alderwoman Walker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Great job, you all. I like what I'm seeing. I can't find it on my Google Drive though, so I need a little bit more time to figure it out and look at those charts. But so far, looking good and sounding good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. On my end, I'm really grateful for running various sets of numbers. I think that's really helpful for us to see kind of how each of these factors affects things. I would love to see, and this is going forward, this isn't going to hold me up today, but going forward, I would love to see the charts as they exist with just allocations moving forward, because it's so unknown as to what funds will be left over as of April 18th, particularly with the amendment that we added today, that as we debate this in front of the full board, I would love to just see sort of ward allocations going forward. And that might help cement it in folks' minds exactly what we're talking about, since that other number can move so much. Otherwise, I think that it makes the most sense to take into account infrastructure as these are capital funds, and there's a limited amount of things that we can use these on related to infrastructure. So I agree with that there. And it sounds like, so we're waiting on the amendment to get uploaded to the drive. Is that right?
Yes, it should just about be done. I know Christina and Lou are working on it. Let me see.
And then I also don't see the charts in the drive either. So if you get a chance, and that may be something to email out to the full board as well, but
We
don't
can
have the
email them. We emailed them to the clerk earlier, but there's been so many back-to-back meetings today that I don't know that everything has
Sure.
has
Yeah,
made
we had
it to where it needed to go.
Yeah, we had Alderwoman Davis's committee did lots of legislative work this morning as well. So we're really getting into the weeds on this, but that's the job. So appreciate that. So I guess we'll hold for a minute or two until you guys give me the go ahead that
I think we just need another minute. It's almost done.
okay. Does anybody have any discussion for the good of the committee here? Or Alderman Todd, I don't want to put you on the spot with your push-ups, but if you want to
If I want to do, I just got through doing 4 sets of 100, so I'm good today. And I just got, so I didn't do about 200 in a row. I didn't do it 1 set of 200. I just did 4 sets of 100 today. I was just kind of being lackadaisical.
Unreal. For the members of the public, if you have ever doubted the stamina and the just the skill and the power of the alderman from the 18th, he is not kidding when he says he does sets of 100 push-ups at a time. I've seen him do it. So
right at breakfast time at the Democratic City Central Committee, when they asked me how old I was, I just did 200. I let them know I'm 200 years old.
You let them know for sure.
Yeah, but I was asking them, can they do the push-ups? So I wanted them to get in shape, as I was gonna give them a Jenny Craig membership.
You don't need Jenny Craig, that's for sure.
But anyway, I did do that, didn't I, Chairwoman Rice? I did it right at the Central Committee before they served us breakfast too.
Absolutely. It would have been worse maybe after breakfast.
Right. So it was before breakfast. And so anyway, that was a day to remember. We had fun.
Had some good times there.
Yeah.
Okay, we're
Just about. I think there's going to be 2 separate amendments, one that addresses the variables and one that addresses the percentages.
okay.
And everything on my computer is so slow today for some reason.
As a general note, tomorrow is Wear Red Day for Women's Heart Disease Awareness. So as a reminder, if you've got something red, throw it on. That'll be great. Alderman Todd, you can repeat an outfit if you need to here.
Okay, then, right. I have a red tie. Thanks for reminding me. I'm glad you said something.
Sure.
When you get a certain age, I got so many clothes. I hate to repeat because I never will be able to wear them all out. Folks have given me clothes because I haven't grown since I was 21 years old. I'm 6 same size, so everybody give me that clothes. I haven't had to buy it neither. But anyway, I like to change them because I'm trying to wear them at least rotate, right? So I haven't read time, some of them read, but thanks for reminding me.
Good.
So I
I'll come
don't
shopping in your closet. then.
Right, I spend too much time shopping. Sometimes that's what I said. Yeah,
I wish I could still wear clothes from when I was 21.
right. So I haven't had to change them, and and then folks give them to me, they just pile up over the years I've made. It's ridiculous. You wouldn't believe how many, and I haven't bought any clothes since I was 21. So people have just given them to me because they've outgrown them.
Mm.
Any idea what we're looking like here? Should we do a recess and come back, or is everybody okay just hanging out here for a couple more minutes?
Well, there was some question about the graphs. They were emailed by Christina earlier too.
Okay.
So if they're not in your drive, she did send us an email.
Thank you.
Okay, it was emailed to the clerk, just waiting for it to get physically put in the drive.
That's great.
The first one, the
First one, yes, the First Amendment.
Is there another committee meeting at 4?
No.
Okay.
There was, I believe Health was trying to get a committee meeting scheduled, and so it briefly got placed on the calendar, but STLTV was not able to staff that. So that's getting moved next week.
So I saw the back and forth, but the health committee, that's definitely off for today.
Correct.
Okay,
That's
thank you.
they'll be on Monday, I believe at 1 o'clock on Monday.
I'll take that interim posting off my calendar.
There you go.
I want you all to know that my carrier, although I pay this extra money so that I have unlimited service for everything, told me I have surpassed my unlimited service. I don't know what that means. So that means that we're just doing too much.
Give it like 10 more days. 10
How
more.
do you surpass unlimited? I don't understand that.
That doesn't seem to be right. But you gotta check that contract.
Sounds like there's some limits in the fine print.
Not for what I pay, it shouldn't be.
Hasn't showed up yet.
Yeah, I keep refreshing.
Oh, yeah, STL TV giving you tips on here.
Thank you. I see that.
They are our communication specialists. So it's
I like that.
Yeah.
Would I be able to talk about the last change to make the bill complete? Alderman Rice?
Sure. Are you able to turn on your camera to talk to us, Christina?
Yes.
Thank you.
So just a heads up, the last change that Lou is working on to make the amendments complete is just adding where the data comes from. For the 2 new variables, it comes from the planning department. So we're just adding the street mileage and the ward acreage. So that's the last thing that we're trying to add as an amendment.
Okay, good deal.
Okay, just letting you all know. Thanks.
It looks like our Madam Assistant Clerk Sharita is on the line. Is Clerk Kennedy the only one that's able to upload to the drive, or?
Hi, sorry.
Or do you know, or is someone else able to add it to the drive if it's been emailed over there?
I don't understand what they're.
I'm just not sure.
No, right now, Clerk Kennedy is the only one that does that.
Okay.
Really just.
So the changes you sent over were labeled amendment 3 and 4, but we don't have
Christina,
amendment
go ahead and
2.
mute for us if you're not talking to us anymore.
So we just, yeah, that's all. It's not a.
There we go. Okay.
Is Sharita available? Because I thought she also had the ability to upload.
I thought so as well, but it doesn't sound like it. Sharita, are you available to talk on the line or no?
I'm calling Sharita now.
Okay, thanks, Laura. Appreciate it.
And it's not that Sharita can't. I just think right now, Mr. Kennedy is the one doing it.
Got it. Okay.
All right, 2 and 3 are in the drive. We can do those. I'm trying to get it open.
All right, so everyone go refresh your drive and so we can get those amendments pulled up here. I currently still only have 1 and 2, but we can.
Chairwoman,
Come up on mine.
presiding chairwoman.
Oh, they're on the same.
Maybe
I see.
she was-
They're on the
yeah.
same document. Got it. Okay. Members of the committee, are you all seeing those in your drive yet? Okay, so we'll go ahead. President Green, if you want to go ahead and make a motion on amendment number 2.
Would like to make a motion to adopt amendment number 2 to board bill number 183 committee substitute as amended.
I'll second it. I'm a member of the committee. I can second that. So is there a request for a previous roll?
And I mean, so I'm not going to ask for a roll call each time, even though I don't have a problem with the amendments.
Sure. Alderman
But-
Vaccaro, this is just to put it in front of us. And so once we do this, then we can discuss. Is that okay?
Yeah, I understand. I just want to explain the reason I will keep saying no all the way through, because on the final bill, I would still, unless this moves to just 50, like it is now, the equally split.
Okay.
So that's why the no. I'm not really objecting to all these amendments.
Okay.
It's
But you're,
just
so with the previous roll, you're recorded as a no on
right.
that.
I just want to explain why I'm staying that way.
Okay.
I don't have an
So-
issue with the amendments. They're better
Okay.
than what it was, but I just
Okay,
don't
so hearing
caught
no
up.
objection then to previous roll, amendment number 2 to board bill 183 committee substitute as amended is in front of us.
So amendment number 2, it changes the allocations from 40% for the first one does the unencumbered funds and changes the 60-40 split to a 70-30 split instead for those unencumbered funds.
Okay, I'm just gonna go through, if you have discussion, that it, would you, Aura is actually flagging, we did vote to adopt amendment number 1.
Did I said adopt? Yes, I did say adopt.
Yeah, so this is amendment number 2, so we're,
Yes, so this is
Well,
amendment
number 2.
yeah, okay, we're just clarifying that we'd taken 2 votes on that previous one. Okay, so if you, I'm not gonna run through the entire list every time, so if you do have questions, will you please raise your hand or wave at me, and I'll call on members of the committee who have questions about amendment number 2 here on this, changing it to a 70-30 split. All right, I don't see anybody with a hand up, so I'll entertain a motion on to adopt amendment 2.
I'll make a motion to adopt amendment 2.
Entertain a second.
Second.
All right, Alderman Todd a second. Do we have a request for previous roll?
Previous roll.
Hearing no objection, we've adopted amendment number 2 to Board Bill 183, committee substitute as amended. President Green, you're recognized on amendment 3.
Now I would like to place amendment 3 in front of us for Board Bill 183, committee substitute as amended.
I'll second. And request previous roll.
Previous.
Thank you, Alderman Davis. Hearing no objection, we are now debating amendment number 3.
So amendment number 3, similar to amendment number 2, this deals with the encumbered funds or the, the total baseline allocation of funds. And so it is moving it from the 60-40 split to the 70-30 split.
Okay, Alderwoman Schweitzer.
Thanks. I think there's just a Scrivener's error. It says the last line of amendment number 3 says the remaining 40% and then 30% is in parentheses. So I just wanted to flag that.
Okay.
That's a good flag. So on the very last line, the written word spelling out 40
That's 40 still, yeah.
should be 30. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Madam Clerk, are you able to make note of that for us, that it should be the 30% there? Okay. All right, any other discussion here on amendment number 3? Okay, hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adopt amendment number 3.
I move to adopt amendment number 3.
Second.
Previous roll.
All right, hearing no objection to previous roll, we've adopted amendment number 3 to Board Bill 183, committee substitute as amended. And it looks like we're maybe still waiting on the correct version of amendment number 4. Is that right?
There's an amendment number 5 there now. So let me see if that is the correct one.
We are stretching our legislative legs today.
My computer is so slow.
The amendment that's in the drive, it just needs the page number. There's another Scrivener's error from page 1. It accidentally says page 4 the second time around. Are we looking at amendment?
I see what you're saying, amendment number 4. So beginning on page should be page 1 and not page 4.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. All right. I guess if everyone is comfortable with that just being a Scrivener's error there on the page number, I would be happy to entertain President Green if you want to place Board Bill or amendment number 4 in front of us.
Yes, I would like to place amendment number 4 in front of us. Like to make a motion to.
Okay, we got a motion in a
Second.
second. Anybody on previous roll?
Previous one.
All right, hearing no objection. Okay, so we're discussing this amendment with the adjustments on the beginning on page, it should be page number 1, line 11. Go ahead, Alderwoman or President Green.
So all of this is doing is adding street miles and ward acreage to the set of variables that we are using to calculate the formula.
All right, any questions, comments? Great. Let's
I'll make a motion to adopt amendment number 4.
Second.
Previous
Just-
roll.
All right. So we got a motion, a second, and a request for previous roll. Hearing no objection, we've adopted amendment number 4 to Board Bill 183 Committee Substitute as amended.
Okay. And then there is an amendment number 5. Hold on, which looks like the same thing as amendment number 4.
Yeah, I think that's the exact same thing.
Madam Presiding Chair, it technically isn't. Amendment number 4 starts with to amend said board bill page 1, line 11 to page 1. Amendment 5, I'm sorry, page 4. Amendment 5 says to amend said board bill page 1, line 11 to page 1. So there is technically a difference between the amendments. Just, I
Okay.
assume a Scrivener's error.
Mhm. But that doesn't make sense if you can
Yeah.
explain it to me.
Oh, okay. All right. So actually, so the amendment that we just adopted, there were 2 page 4s that need to be page 1s.
Okay, but we're counting that as Scrivener's errors.
Okay, well, we only identified one of them, but if the committee is okay that this, because it's just these 5 words inserted, they should all be on one page. Is the committee amenable to counting those as Scrivener's errors?
Yeah, kind of miss errors, Scrivener errors, and technically, as we are deliberating, your law clerk should be changing those so that by the end of the meeting, because it's very simple changes, they are in your Google Drive in the correct manner, because you don't want to rely on accountability to come from the clerk who has 10 other responsibilities sitting there.
Right.
And then also, he should be collaborating with Christina in the process while we're
Yeah.
moving forward, okay?
They are, it sounds like they are working together. They're
Okay.
just scrambling a little bit. So Alderwoman Schweitzer, you have a question?
Thank you. I just would like to hear the correct words read aloud so I can make sure I understand exactly what this amendment.
Sure, Alderwoman Green, can you handle that?
So it should say to amend said board bill, page 1, line 11 to page 1, line 11 as follows. Beginning on page, and I should say 1, line 11, the following words, parcels per ward, insert the following words and figures to be, and
I think it's supposed to be read in words and figures.
and to be read in words and figures as followed, street miles and ward acreage.
So it's only inserting those 5 words, street, miles, and ward acreage.
At the end of that line.
It's just a lot of Scrivener's errors. I mean, I get it. Just trying to,
Yeah, that's my problem, I'm afraid.
right. I'm just like, my brain is
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
processing.
we do have a request from the clerk to take a quick 5 if it's possible. I'll call on Alderman Stevens here real quick, and then we take 5 minutes and then we'll call everybody back. Alderman Stevens.
Yes, thank you, Presiding Chair. I first and foremost wanted to point out that there was a call for recess from the clerk, which I wanted to offer my support for. But likewise, I have a point of order, more so point of clarification, we've already adopted amendment 4, correct?
Yes.
So then do we need to motion to retract amendment 4?
No, I don't think so. I think the Scrivener's error was the same in that that we already identified was a page 1 instead of a page 4. Page 4 wouldn't make any sense because that would be 3 pages to insert 5 words. I think we're clear enough on page 1 to page 1. So
Okay. And then, not to further confuse, but is that amendment 4, which we've adopted, accepting the Scrivener's errors, substantially different enough from the new amendment 6 that's in the drive? Or is that within the same vein of amendment 4? And
so what we're going to pause before we get into any more amendments. We're going to take a little bit of time, let the clerk, I'm sure you overheard a little bit. Christina and our legal counsel are scrambling a little bit at the moment. So we're going to give them some time to iron this out. So if we could take, let's come back at 4:20. Is that okay? Can folks come back at 4:20? We will come back in. That gives them about 15 minutes to iron this out and get everything uploaded into the drive so that we make sure we're not messing anything up. Is that all right?
I appreciate that you all are getting the clerk involved because I was getting scared. Okay.
Yes.
I may not get back, but my vote will still stand, right?
Oh, yes.
I'm going to try to get back.
No, I'm going to call for a roll call.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's that?
I'm going to call for a roll call for the
But
final.
if you do, then my vote won't be there.
Right.
Right. We'll try to get you back, Alderman Vaccaro.
Okay, I may have to come back on my phone. I have to be somewhere.
Yeah.
Right,
Understand.
But I'll
Okay.
do my best to get back.
Okay, we appreciate it. And I think the public can tell from the discussion that we've had so far where you stand on this. So we appreciate your participation. All right. So the special committee on the transition to 14 ward stands recessed until 4:20. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
It is 4:20, but I think we're still waiting on one more amendment to be uploaded. So we'll just hold until we get the go ahead there. So thanks for sticking with us. President Green, you have an update?
Right, we still need a few more minutes. We found an error with one of the amendments, so they're going to be resubmitted in a few minutes, so we probably need another 5 minutes or so.
Okay. We will hold.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
We're just waiting for them to be added to the drive.
Drive is updated.
All right. Members of the special committee, if you are still with us, I will call this meeting back into order. We'll give you a minute here to jump back on camera. Thanks so much for sticking with us. Thank you, Madam Clerk. And STLTV, we never went down, right? We can just continue.
That's correct. You're live.
Okay, great. All right, so a little bit of fun here in the drive. We need to, well, President Green, do you want to take over? Or do you want me to walk through kind of where we're at?
Go ahead and walk through where we're at and I
Okay.
can make questions.
Okay, so we actually need to we need to undo amendment number 4 is where we're at. So just strike that completely. And I think if we don't have a repeal provision, then the easiest way to do that would be a motion to reconsider amendment number 4. So I will just go ahead and say, having voted on the prevailing side of amendment number 4, I move that we reconsider the vote to add amendment number 4 to Board Bill 183 committee substitute.
Second.
Okay. A motion for previous roll.
Previous roll.
Previous roll.
Okay. Hearing no objection, we will reconsider amendment number 4. President Green, do you want to I guess just go ahead and withdraw that amendment?
Yes, at this point in time, I will withdraw amendment number 4.
Okay. All right, we figured out the Scrivener's error had confused our page numberings and our lines. So we got those squared away. So it looks like you've got one more item. It's 3 amendments that should round us out here. It's all on document 1F. If you all would pull those up in your drive and follow along, we should have the numbering correct here. So President Green, I will entertain you on amendment number 5.
I would like to make a motion to put amendment 5 before us.
Second.
All right, you get a previous roll.
Previous roll.
Okay, hearing no objection, would you please walk through amendment number 5? We need to, I'm sorry, we missed this before. We need to be reading these so that the
Okay,
public.
so amendment number 5 says to amend said board bill page 1 line 9 to page 1 line 9 as follows. Beginning on page 1 line 9, following the words parcels per ward, insert the following words and figures to read as follows: street miles and ward acreage. So basically, we're just adding street miles and ward acreage to that line like we intended to do before, but had the page numbers messed up.
All right. Any questions from members of the committee? Raise a hand if you got them. Otherwise, this is what amendment number 4 attempted to do, but we got the numbering wrong. So we are clearing that up now. All right. Seeing no hands raised for discussion or questions, I will entertain a motion to adopt amendment number 5.
Make a motion to adopt amendment number 5.
Second.
Second.
Previous.
All right. Hearing no objection to previous roll, amendment number 5 is adopted. President Green, you're recognized on amendment number 6.
I would like to make a motion to put amendment 6 before us.
Second.
Can I get
Previous roll.
Previous roll.
All right, great. You're recognized on amendment number 6.
So amendment number 6 says to amend said board bill page 4 line 12 as follows. Beginning on page 4 line 12, following the words vacant parcels on the subsequent line, insert the following words and figures to read as follows: 6 street miles, 7 ward acreage.
Okay. This is including the rest of those 7 items in the list on this page, on page 4 here. Any questions or comments from the committee? All right, President Green, you are recognized on a motion to adopt amendment number 6.
I would like to make a motion to adopt amendment number 6.
Second.
Previous roll.
roll.
All right, hearing no objection to previous roll, we've adopted amendment number 6 to Board Bill 183, committee substitute as amended. President Green, you are recognized on amendment 7.
I'd like to make a motion to put amendment number 7 before us.
Second.
Previous roll.
All right, hearing no objection to previous roll, you can continue on amendment number 7.
Amendment number 7 says to amend said board bill page 4 line 20 as follows. Beginning on page 4 line 20, insert a new line item 5 to be and read in words and figures as follows. The street mileage and ward acreage data points shall be compiled by the planning department and renumber the items under subsection B accordingly.
Great, and just a point of clarification, this is noted as line 20 because the insertion of the 2 items ahead would push those down to line 20. So if you're just looking at the clean copy, it doesn't look like line 20, but with the insertion of the previous amendments, it will be line 20. Okay, any questions or comments about amendment number 7? Great. Seeing none, President Green, you're recognized on a motion to adopt amendment number 7.
I would like to make a motion to adopt amendment number 7.
Second.
Previous roll.
All right, hearing no objection to previous roll, we have adopted amendment number 7 to Board Bill number 183, committee substitute as amended. Okay, so we are back to there are no other amendments in the drive? Anybody else? Nope. Okay, great. So we are debating the underlying bill then in its entirety, Board Bill 183, Committee Substitute as amended. President Green, you are recognized if you have any more discussion you want to bring up here.
Would just like to say that Board Bill number 183, Committee Substitute as amended, incorporates much of the feedback we've heard over the last couple of meetings. It still allows for an equitable distribution of funds. It clarifies how we can get our ward funds encumbered toward projects, even if the process of getting those projects going has been a little bit slow, to make sure that things that are in the works still get to be followed through with. And I think this starts us on a page of looking at how we can be more equitable in our distribution of funds across the city. So I would appreciate your favorable consideration.
All right, I want to do one last pass here because it's been just a little bit. Does anyone have any further discussion on the bill as a whole? I know we've had a few meetings here. I will just ask you to raise your hand if you've got any further comments or questions. Alderman Vaccaro, you're recognized.
Just other than my previous argument, you know, the people, at least in the neighborhood I represent, pay an extraordinary amount of taxes. And they deserve to have decent streets, trees, and sidewalks. And this bill, by not putting that money, saying that money should have been split equally like it's been in the past amongst the new bigger wards. You know, and again, I'll go back to the alderman that said, gee, well, it's twice the area. We need twice the money. But this isn't like Robin Hood robbing from the rich and giving to the poor. We're not rich over here. We're paying a lot of taxes, working 2 and 3 jobs to pay those taxes. And now we're going to turn around and say, well, you're not going to have a decent road, or it's going to take multiple years to get there. I have a big issue. It should be as simple as the money should be equally divided amongst the 14 wards. So I just want to keep repeating it, because I honestly believe that, you know, I wish this stuff would have came up before. And anyway, I'm just, before I get myself in trouble, I will just sit here. I've raised my objection to this. I hope that all the people that live in the neighborhoods that are basically having money taken away from them look at this, and hopefully they react to it.
Okay, thank you so much for your comments. The next hand I saw was Alderwoman Schweitzer.
Thank you so much. I appreciate those comments from the alderman from the 23rd ward. You know, one of the things that's really troubling to me about ward capital in general is it's not enough for any of the wards for what it's asked to cover, whether it's street repairs or sidewalks or parks improvements that aren't covered by other parks funds, or trees or trash bins. The list goes on. And so it seems like we're talking about a amount of money that's not enough for anyone, regardless of whether it's split equally or with this sort of need-based division based on various factors. So I agree that the equal split, I think, is what people in 13th Ward would like to see. The discussion, I think, needs to be broadened much more widely about how the city of St. Louis funds streets and sidewalks in general, and not through just changing how we do ward capital, which we all know is not enough for what we have in the wards as we know them now. And so I appreciate the amendments that made it closer to that equal split, but I am still voting no for this overall bill. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Alderwoman. Alderwoman Davis.
Thank you very much. One of the things that I hope we will continue the conversation has already started is how we actually do capital improvements on behalf of the residents. It is, if we look at some other counties, there that are run through city managers. Those things are not the responsibility of an alderperson and or any funds that are allocated to them for minor things. And that's what it should be. And so I think we're going to get to that point, but we're not there yet. And if you want to look at how to get some of the areas of the city closer, because they surely won't get there in the next 5 to 10 years, but closer to having some ability to make some greater improvements, this will help. And even though I'm not going to be an alderperson after April 19th, I will still help advocate for this on the outside, and most especially educate residents because they don't understand all of this. And we unfortunately, and it's just the nature of the game, we use these different types of things in political campaigns, and we provide misinformation, disinformation, and just help ourselves in our positions. And it's not healthy for the community. So it is an improvement. If we stick with the professionals, I was happy to see the planning division was brought in. They have history, and we can find some better ways to do things. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderman Page, I see your hand.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, Madam President. My study of the concept of legislation frequently brings up the word compromise. And I believe that what we have arrived at is in the spirit of compromise. It takes into effect the human needs, it takes into effect the infrastructure needs, it takes into effect ward size to try to smooth or level both equal and equitable distribution. I think the staff has done a great piece of work here. So I support this compromise as we work forward. And I hope that we'll all benefit from it. I think the spirit of compromise is spoken here. Thank you much, and I yield back.
Thank you so much, Alderman Page. Yeah, I'll just add my own comments here as a member of the committee. I agree. I think this is a good starting place. I think that we have identified a whole lot of issues with just the way that we fund infrastructure here in the city. It's incumbent on the next round of folks who are coming into these offices to take a good hard look at that. A city that used to have 800,000 people and now has under 300,000 has different types of needs that can't be met in the same ways that they used to be met in. And so I think this is a good step to move forward. And I appreciate everyone's work on this, appreciate the clerk's office and Aura for keeping track of all of these things with us, and STLTV for sticking with us. So with that, President Green, I recognize you to close and make a motion on Board Bill 183 committee substitute as amended.
Thank you. I'll just say, thank you to members of the committee for the spirit of collaboration. And as the alderman from the 5th said, compromise. I do feel like this bill is in a good place with the discussion and the compromise that we've had throughout it. I represent a ward I previously, before I was president, represented a ward that would get less funding under this model. And through conversations with the constituents that lived there over many years, many of them agreed that equal wasn't equitable. And they agreed that we should be allocating funds in ways that promote equity in our city. And so I think it's incumbent upon us as alder people to discuss this with our constituents, to educate them about how equal is not always fair or right or just, and take this into account through all of our budgeting processes going forward. we also have to recognize that this cannot be our only means for funding capital. And my office is committed as we go into the next budget cycle of fighting for, dedicated line items to some of these city departments for paving and things like that, so that this really is a special projects fund for those bigger projects and not just for everyday maintenance. So there's many steps that we have to take here to get to where we ultimately want to be. But I think that this is a good step in the right direction. So with that, I would like to make a motion to pass out Board Bill number 183 as committee substitute as amended with a due pass recommendation.
Second,
All right, and we have alders who want to change votes. So Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderman Vaccaro,
No.
Alderwoman Ingracia,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd, Alderman Bosley, Alderwoman Middlebrook,
Aye.
Alderwoman Rice,
Aye.
Alderman Todd,
Aye.
Alderman Page,
aye.
Alderman Stevens,
Aye.
Alderwoman Schweitzer,
No.
Alderman Grass,
Aye.
Alderwoman Walker,
Aye.
President Green,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd, Alderman Bosley. We have 10 aye votes, 2 noes.
By your vote, you have sustained the motion by President Green to pass out Board Bill 183 committee substitute as amended with a due pass recommendation. With that, I'll turn the meeting back over to the president.
Wonderful. Any further items for discussion today? Seeing none, I would
Our
like,
agenda's not finished.
oh my God, we still have the discussion on Alderman from the 12th. Would you be amenable if we move the discussion on your items to next week?
Noting that it presents another week of scheduling conflicts on my part, I will be amenable to moving it to next Thursday.
Thank you. That is appreciated because I know many of us are running up against some other meetings we need to get to. Okay, so with that, we're going to move our discussion on rules and committees to next week. Is there any further items for discussion?
No.
Right. With that, I would like to excuse, I think Alderwoman Boyd is the only person that was not present today.
Alderman Bosley,
Oh, and Bosley. If we could excuse Boyd and Bosley. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
The moved and seconded that we adjourn until next Thursday. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.